Oh, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Dead Funny Review Show. I'm your host, Chris. Joined today is my co-host, Kelsey, and JoJo. Back again, another episode of the Falcon Winter Soldier. Got it right 2 times in a row. Let's shoot for fucking 3. Then I will have fucked it up 3 episodes and got it right 3 episodes. I'll even out, neutral, be good to go. Good.
There'll be a lot of pressure on the next one, though.
There is.
A lot of pressure.
100% is. I'm kind of hoping I just fuck it up, honestly, but we'll see what happens.
That's not your option.
It is the better option.
So this episode was following up what we consider to be the best episode of the season, last episode. As far as moving into this episode, we have not talked about it yet. We saved all of that for on camera, so we'll get our thoughts and stuff out. So in traditional fashion, we'll start with, as far as an episode goes, I liked this episode a lot. It was really lighthearted. I really enjoyed a lot of the friendly banter. But as far as an overall episode goes, it kind of makes me worried for how the last episode's going to go. I'm really hoping it's not going to be super rushed. They haven't done anything to fuck it up yet, so I have no reason to believe Marvel's going to fuck it up. But if this was Game of Thrones, I would be severely worried for this fucking episode. Like, severely worried, because I feel there is a lot left untold. I know that we're trying to leave, like, open ends here for other shows to kind of sprout off from this, and I get that, but I feel like a lot's being left just wide open, and I'm really worried about that. But I think
there may be less to resolve than you think.
Maybe.
It feels as if basically Sam's whole arc is done as soon as he puts on his costume, so that's kind of out of the way. Bucky has to go talk to the old Asian man. Then he's done. John Walker's already building a fake shield, and he's gonna go. So everything is about to just meet and have one big action scene or whatever at this government thing.
I just feel like with a comic book perspective, this is a very quick ending for as many different factions that were all tied up. And there's a couple other things that I'll get into with that as well. They're on my list, so I will get there when we get there. But yeah. As far as my first thoughts about the episode, I liked the episode. I felt it was a really good-hearted episode to kind of really signify the friendship that is forged between Bucky and Falcon in the absence of Captain America, which is great. Super enjoyed that. That was my thoughts. Kelsey, your first thoughts on the episode?
There are so many things that I loved about this episode, and I'm going to leave some of it for when we talk about these things, but I recognize that this was a pace change in order to allow the final episode to be explosive and big and the finale that we're expecting it to be. And if it's not, I'm really going to be surprised by that, honestly, because I feel like they have enough good pieces they can put together to make this an impressive finale. And again, like you said, if this was Game of Thrones, I would be scared,
really
but
worried.
it's not. But I'm like, come on, Disney, we are your bitch. Just do it. Just get us there. I have faith in you. Really hoping. But I have so many questions because I feel like there was a lot thrown in there in this particular episode for many different groups and communities. And I did want to tell you, I'm like Val. I think well, like Val, yeah. But also, like, I want to circle back around to this, so don't jump on it now. But like,
I got her on my list, so we're good.
Everything with the Wakandans and everything about them taking Zemo away and specifically telling them, like, him, the White Wolf, needs to stay out of Wakanda for a while. Like, I think I know what might be being said, but I figure you guys probably have better ideas. So I thought all of that was really interesting. I'm so excited to see what's actually in the box because I know what they want you to think is in the box, but I'm really hoping that Bucky pulled a switcheroo. So I've got a lot of things I'm really excited about.
What do you hope they switcherooed? What do you want to be in the box?
So what's supposed to be in the box is, and I actually like wrote this on my notes, is just what's in the box, and I wanted to make that joke. So now I'm disappointed that I don't get to. But what's supposed to be in the box is the Falcon wings, right? A Wakandan version of the Falcon wings,
Yeah.
so he can go back and be Falcon. What I'm hoping Bucky did was actually switcheroo, and it's a form of a Captain America suit,
She wants
basically
to see
saying,
a vibranium
you-
Captain America suit is what she wants.
yeah, I want
Like
to see.
Black
I want to
Panther.
see a suit. You are taking on this role. You are not a super soldier, so here's a super soldier suit to protect you while you pick up the shield and carry that forward. That's what I'm hoping he did
I mean,
to
I think
support him.
I'm saying it's going to be essentially both things, right? It's
I could see that.
a Captain America ass suit, but with wings.
I think the
That's
best way they could
possible.
do it would be like you can't see the Captain America suit. The wings are on top, and then for him to move the wings out and then see the Captain America suit would be the best way for them to do it. If they're going to do it that way, we'll see. We'll see.
So JoJo, your thoughts?
Oh, it was nice for them to have time to have Bucky and Sam hang out. Enjoyed that quite a bit.
That's great.
And and also I enjoyed like they resolved some things. Like Zemo's just out. I think they just
Yeah, I think
that
he and the Wakandans are just
rest-
fucking off.
Yeah, like
I'm very interested in that part. We'll get to it whenever we get there because I have that
Yeah.
part specifically on my list. Is Zemo?
Me
being
too.
escorted
I got
by the
questions.
Wakandans. Yeah.
so I think they got a lot of stuff out of the way and put the characters, the major central characters to the series where they need to be to have a satisfying finale.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I guess to kind of jump right in. Once again, before we do that, disclosure every episode. This is not a show that we are going to not talk about spoilers. We are 100% going to talk about spoilers. I put that in the
I've already
title
done so.
every single episode. Once again, if you want to watch the show first, come back here, hear our thoughts on it. More than welcome to do that, and then jump in the conversation with us in the comments and let us know your thoughts on the episode as well. We love that. But if you don't care and you're just here to be here, great. One thing I do want to stress is that with the fact that there are two people on here that do have an extensive knowledge into the comics, some things could be spoiled for potential future shows, possibly even potential future episode. I guess I can't say episodes because we only have one more episode, but episodes. So you've been warned. If you haven't picked that up from episode 1 till now, you've been warned. So that being said, I think we started this episode off really well. I like that we got straight into the violence. Like we knew
Yes.
the tension was building between the three of them. We knew that was going to happen sooner or later. I actually like that, obviously, when they're on a time crunch, but I like that they just didn't even skip it. They wanted the raw moment to just propel straight into that, and I really fucking enjoyed that. We had what caught me off guard, and I don't want to say lazy writing yet, but what caught me off guard was how easily Bucky's arm kind of shorted out. I feel like it being designed in Wakanda and their technology being so fucking far advanced that a normal shortage in a fucking piece of shit warehouse in a fucking way off country is kind of, in my opinion, was like, let's get him out for a second so we can have this whole Falcon Walker thing. I kind of feel that was a little lazy in my opinion. I was like, bro, we saw like series like playthings. Like this wasn't a just a little side project for her. She literally reconstructed this arm with an amazing amount of fucking shit they have over there. Like there's no way. I mean, this dude should be able to legitimately grab a fucking power line and have zero problems. Like, I mean, come on. So I kind of felt that was a little lazy writing. That aside, I really enjoyed the fighting. We had the ripping of the wings. That was super fucking cool.
Okay, so I want to talk about that. So
Yeah.
the ripping of the wings. I thought when that started at the beginning of the episode, I was like, so they're literally forcing Sam to choose Captain America. Like they're stopping him from having any other option, and that's bullshit. Anytime they do that in a show where a character is up against a choice and they nullify one. Another one that I hate in movies is Katniss's sister dying. Spoiler on that one too. At the very very end, where Gale was the cause of that, and so she has to now not choose Gale because he caused her sister's death. And so it's like you've got got this tension the whole time between two choices, and the character actually doesn't get to choose. You force the character to pick the direction that you find convenient for plot reasons. And I was like, well, fuck that. And so I was actually really excited when I thought the box was just wings and that Bucky was giving him the chance to just be Falcon again, to actually let Sam choose one or the other, because especially with all of the backplay that we got with some of the racial tension in this episode, that choice now carries a lot more power and a lot more meaning to Sam than it did before. And if you take away the Falcon choice, which is a completely honorable, respectable choice for him, and there's a lot less tension around that for him to remain the Falcon, I feel like you're just I feel like it's shit and you're not actually developing your character. That's what I feel.
Well, I think there's a third choice, even if Sam doesn't have access to wings, where Sam can just not do anything. He can just not be a superhero guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, you have the aspect of being 4 choices, because then he could just be both. Like, he could literally be Falcon with Captain America's shield. Like, that is an option. Yeah. It's not like it's not.
So, Anthony Mackie, I was accidentally watching some old interviews with him, and
I like how she says accidentally. Who the fuck accidentally stumbles on old interviews with Anthony Mackie? Like, get the fuck out of here. She went looking for some shit, went down a rabbit hole on YouTube, and found herself
YouTube
watching
suggestions.
them.
You know how it goes.
Sure.
And he very intensely was like, Falcon and Captain America are always 2 different things. And he looks at the camera and he's like, they are. But that was back from 2018. And so, was that before he knew this was going to happen, or was that him hinting at they will always be different and kind of? Long story short, I don't know.
I think even it's in the comics, when Sam becomes Captain America, I think he still has wings, right?
Yeah, he still has wings.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. I do think there was a run where he straight up was just I'm Captain America, but I do think the most not necessarily canon. I want to say the word canon, but it's not canon because nothing in fucking Marvel's considered canon anymore at this point. But canon would be whenever he was wearing kind of his take on the Captain America outfit. It was still the red, white, and blue, but it was his take. He had the wings and was using the shield.
Yeah. So there are still different things in the sense that then his friend becomes a weird vampire bird Falcon.
Yeah.
There's always someone else to be the Falcon.
Yeah.
And Sam left his broken wings with that guy
with Torres,
in the comics as Vampire Birdman. So,
well, I mean, I know in the most
meant to be something.
I know in the most read plot story is that Falcon does the whole duo hero thing, and then he gives up being a hero because the new kid is Falcon. And then he gives the shield to Bucky, and Bucky becomes Captain America for a while until they bring Steve Rogers back from time once again. Comics. I don't think there's been anybody who's ever been brought back to life through time travel more than Captain America at this point. I don't think that. I literally don't think there's. He was brought back to life. I mean, technically, if you consider his origin. Brought back to life through time travel, basically. Fucking, they did it that time to bring him back.
He just got frozen. It's fine. He never died.
Shit. I mean, it's
really
the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same.
They need an excuse to bring a guy from the 40s into the modern age.
When I found out that supposedly he was cryogenically frozen, I was just like, "That's not how it works." And they were just like, "No, that's how it was written." I'm like, I need to be very intense about the fact that is not how that works. That's not how any of that works.
Fell into the ocean.
You need to look up. You got to be able to find it on YouTube. You need to look up the old school Captain America movie on him getting strapped to some fucking rock. I mean, the movie itself came out in the fucking 60s. It's terrible. The fucking movie's terrible, but they have a whole play on that where he's sitting there his body's shaking, and then it's the fake ice is covering him up. He's like, oh, it's fucking great. Oh my gosh. But then you have Infinity War. They bring it back, and then Civil War. They fucking go back in time and bring him back to life. It's how many times? When can we let just Captain America just be Steve Rogers and live in his own fucking timeline and just die with Betty? When? When can that happen? Peggy. I don't know why I said Betty.
I was like, Peggy. Who the fuck is Betty?
Literally, a comic book character cannot stay dead.
Not when there's convenient reasons for them to be alive.
There used to be a rule an understanding stood rule that like at least like no one could come back from the dead except everyone can come back from the dead except Jason Todd, and then they brought Jason Todd back from the dead, which was like a Robin, one of Batman's Robins that everyone hated.
Yep.
Like they killed him off because fans voted to let that character die.
And he like Red Hood or Red Robin or something like that. He's one of the
he's Red Hood. They brought him back
as
a villain. So the point is they'll bring anyone back all the time if he's especially the character you like. Like you can't let Captain America stay dead.
That's one of the things that I've always loved between comics and video games is like in video games you have the golden rule of your character can die and always be brought back to life, but if you die in a cutscene, it's for real. Like if a character dies in a cutscene, that's it. They're dead. They're gone.
Yep.
Like I know me and JoJo were talking about this the other day, and we're going to go more into that on another review show. But Outriders, I know you haven't played it, Kelsey. It's like almost every person you meet, they literally die the next cutscene you meet them. So you're like, oh well, they're fucking dead. Like they're not coming back. That's it. They're dead. They're done. Like that game. Anyways, but back to fucking Falcon before we get off on a fucking tantrum about that. So yeah, they brought him back so many fucking times, and I forgot where I was going with that one now. But anyways, we're going to move on past that too. So hard transition. Go, Kelsey.
Oh, we're just saying that he can be Captain America with wings.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying. Because that was the main, that's what it was. That was the main one because then he gives it to Bucky, and then Bucky was Captain America for a little while, and then that's when they brought him back, and then he gave it back to Captain America because we had Steve Rogers again. And then Falcon picked up his mantle as Falcon, the original Falcon, but I don't really know what happened to the sidekick. I mean, honestly, I kind of forgot he was a fucking thing until the show came out, so I'm not going to lie. Sam Wilson is the Falcon. That's my Falcon. Like, there you go.
Dump them. Now.
I did appreciate in this first fight, the very first, we're opening this whole thing up. We have Sam starting, before the fight starts, being Sam. Being who Captain America loved him being who Carly appreciates him being who the show's setting him up to be, which is first and foremost like an empathetic diplomat. Somebody actively trying to understand, actively trying to speak to you as a person, not as a symbol, not as any of the bullshit. Like, let's cut all the crap away and talk to each other as two people who both want what's right. So I love that we started that way. And then I loved, the director that just did an excellent job with the beat of, you don't want to do this. And Bucky going, yes, we do. And just kind of the realization that up until this point, Walker has been dealing with what they don't want to do. And now he is the thing that they want to take care of. Yeah. And he's going to have an entirely different experience as a result. I loved that. That was brilliant. It was such a great moment.
And I kind of want to point this out just to piggyback off of what you said, because I think that that's very interesting that you brought that up with the way that Sam's personality is and how he chooses to act with things. If that's something I caught on with the first episode, and I think it was, I don't think that enough attention was called to it, but whenever you look at the personalities, I would like to know more of why Rhodey was picked to be the person to talk to Falcon about the shield. Because now that we talked about like the thought process back whenever we were talking about giving up the shield versus the suit of armor, back and forth. When you talk about that personality, Rhodey is by far the opposite of that. It's I'm part of the government. I have the government's best interest. And then you're my friend, but I still need to do what's good for my job as being part of the government. So it's very interesting that like Rhodey, like as we've gone on and we've seen Falcon's kind of whole arc come out and stuff like that, which I was actually really excited about that I think I have on here too, was just the tribute they paid to the parents of Falcon. I thought that was pretty cool, which Kelsey at this point, you know who they are, because I don't think they called enough attention to why everybody was just so willing to just show up and help out, which once again, if you haven't, we have a DFU on the Falcon. Highly suggest you go watch it. We dive deep into the Falcon, tell you all about his background, and that scene will make so much more fucking sense to you. We'll still touch on it here when we get there, but that scene will make so much more sense to you if you go watch that DFU episode.
Shameless plug. That was the first conversation that Scott and I had when the episode was over. I'm like, do you have any idea about the Falcon's parents? Because my husband does not watch our material, and that's a constant fight. It's not a fight. It's fine. And he's like, no, what, like, do his parents, are they important? Do they matter? And so like, we had a whole conversation.
Not at all.
No. Not relevant to making Sam who he is at all.
Oh, that's fucking funny. Oh man, but yeah. So, and then staying on that fight, uh, Bucky, giving the shield to Falcon. That was cool at the end of it. Before we get to that, them breaking Walker's arm. Holy shit, that was cool as fuck. That was fucking cool. Oh my gosh, like I did not see that coming. There was a lot of really cool like combo moves.
The combo move where
yes,
Sam like charged into it with the wing. I love that shit.
So good. It was so good. So good. Oh my gosh, there was a lot of really good combos. When they broke his arm, I was like, I mean, Bucky told him, yeah, this is what we want to do. Like they were not there to play. They were for real. So man, holy shit, that was crazy.
It was so interesting that Sam was the one who was trying to hear him out, to hear his side, and the U.S. military, which is the ones who've empowered Walker, were not interested in hearing him at all. Literally would not let him speak. But what I found really challenging personally is that Walker is the type of person to reframe reality to fit the narrative that he can live with. He actually can't live with the narrative that he didn't kill the guy that killed his friend. He killed somebody else in rage. So he is totally reframing the narrative. And every time somebody goes, he's not the guy that killed him. I have that on my list too. Yep. Like Walker's just like, nope, I can't deal with that reality because he can't face the monster that he's becoming. He can only face being a hero. And so he just has to live with that lie. And he can't live with that lie. There are people that know the truth and they won't let him live with that lie. And so the challenge of that, I hate everything about that. I hate everything about that. That is such a narcissistic personality thing to do and I can't stand it.
Yeah.
Hate it.
So I don't know necessarily if I would say that this one is along the same lines as the Bucky's arm electrocution there, but I feel it was rushed. The scene where he gives the wings to obviously what's the new Falcon. I mean, for people who don't read the comics, I don't think they understood that scene at all. So I think that they could see more of like.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, I mean, I think it was at best meant to be like a subtle nod, like, haha, if you know the comics, you're like, oh, maybe this is
possibly.
Something.
Yeah, like, that's exactly what it was.
I don't think it's supposed to matter necessarily.
I feel like they tried to make him too much of a character in the show for them to do that, though. Like, if he would have just been like there the first episode, and then like that episode showed up, and like Sam gave him the wing, sure, but he showed up multiple episodes now. Like they've made him somebody, so now these people are like, well, that's weird. He just lets this random, complete fucking stranger have something that has meant the world to him for so fucking long. It just feels weird. It just felt weird.
I think, if you don't know the guy or whatever, the comics background, you just think this is Sam saying, "Oh, those things are wrecked. Like, keep it," because
maybe
they're broken and done, and also because I think Sam's done with the government. Maybe the implication too, like the.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of felt like he was already that way once, like Steve. Yeah. I feel like there was this essence of Captain America, right? So Steve Rogers, I feel like he had this essence about him about, I'm here to do the right thing. And this is actually going to go into the scene that I was talking about with, or that Kelsey's talking about with like the racial tension and stuff that we were talking about with the actual Shield. I felt that what was said in that house between, Isaiah. Yeah, I was trying to think it was Isaiah or Isaac. Isaiah and Sam, I felt was very interesting to me because obviously it was one where it can be dissected 1,000 different ways on what the actual meaning is. The way I took it, and I actually like the perspective that I had with it, was we had someone who got given a gift to be Captain America and was treated absolutely terrible. Because whether it was the color of skin, the fact that he wasn't Captain America, he showed all the same values Steve Rogers did. He broke in, he saved his guys, he did what he thought was right 100%. And so to him, that symbol doesn't carry the same thing it does to Sam. And that's because Sam got to work with Steve Rogers. And I feel that from the start to the beginning, Steve Rogers has never been a military guy. Steve Rogers has never been a government guy. Steve Rogers wanted to protect people. That's what he's always wanted to do. And I feel that Steve Rogers, and this is the reason why I feel like Sam felt okay about taking the shield, because what Isaiah said to him definitely hit him. Like, that struck a chord.
Yeah.
Which was like any black man who, you know, has any
No
kind of
self-respecting black
there
man.
you go. No self-respecting black man would hold that shield. Exactly.
Yeah.
And the reason why I think that Sam has that different thought is because he sees the shield as this government symbol of what they feel America is, to where Sam sees the symbol that what Captain America felt the shield was supposed to represent. What Steve Rogers felt the shield was supposed to represent, not what the government did. And I think that there was a good indication of that just all throughout, even with the fact I think there was even a little nod to that with Val, where she was like, you know, black and white, it's not actually the government and all this other stuff. Like, I think there's just little subtle nods that's just possibly stuff that I'm picking up on. Like I said, that scene could be dissected 1,000 different ways. Really could. That's the way I took it, and that's why I felt like whenever Sam started, like, once that was said, I was like, there's no way Sam doesn't become the Falcon or doesn't become Captain America in this show. There's no way he doesn't at least use the shield, because Sam now sees, one, if we want to look at it just purely racial wise, what it's done to, as far as someone who believed in the shield being a black man, and then we have what it's done as someone being a white man believing the shield is John Walker. We've both seen the negative of that. It is now up to Sam to show what Steve Rogers' legacy was for that shield. That he can't let that shield be that, because he knows that's not the symbol that Steve Rogers set out to actually, you know, put out with that. So, like I said, that was a really powerful moment in the show, in my opinion. I really enjoyed that moment. I liked the entire lead up to that. I really feel like, if I'm correct, which again, like I said, I might not be correct. It might just be the way that I thought it was happening. If I'm correct, I feel like I really wish they would have done a little bit more to show up to that, because we got the visual aspect of what the shield is now and how we feel it's tarnished with what John Walker did. I wish we would have got a little bit more with Isaiah to show like how he's impacted by the symbol, not just the soldier serum, because he has a lot of hate for that shield, and rightfully so. But a lot of his stuff is directed directly at the soldier serum. I would like to see a little bit more background of, like, maybe, you know, he was there when the shield was like a flashback or something, where he's seeing the shield being, and then being like, Captain America's getting all this service of being, you know, the hero, the da-da-da-da-da, and his shield is the symbol, and that's Captain America. Like, I feel like they could have played that a little bit better, and it would have drove both those points home. But that's just, once again, that's my pickup on it.
It's a question somewhat of what the character person thinks the shield represents exactly. For Steve Rogers is supposed to be like an embodiment of an ideal of
Justice,
American values,
right.
and then John Walker is a bit more of what America
what the government
is
made
in
him.
Reality is kind of how there's you know, of a more militant, you know, aggressor kind of thing. And so for Isaiah, he's not seeing it as the Steve ideals of America represent. He's seeing it just as a shield representing the country of America, which
once again, he wasn't around for that. Exactly. And he wasn't around for that either. He wasn't around for the rise of Captain America. He was under lockdown. I mean, they were running tests on him and shit. Like, there was a lot of stuff that he had to deal with where he didn't get to see what Captain America actually stood for. And I'm actually glad you brought that up with Walker. I think Walker said something that really actually hits that hint even more for me, is whenever they're at that whole dishonorable discharge, or whatever the hell they called it.
Discharge without honor. Yeah.
Discharge without honor. There you go. Discharge without honor. He literally said, "You made me." Yeah. So I think that's a perfect representation of, like, we had Captain America. Like, Steve Rogers was born out of just pure courage and wanting to be there to help people, better people, save people, da-da-da-da-da. Then we have someone who was man-made by the government to become Captain America. And then we also have another situation of someone who was man-made by the government, but they didn't need a Captain America at that time. So they had the chances to try to figure out how to perfect off of him, which is fucking horrible, obviously horrifying.
Still meant to exploit. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, there's an element to that too, where they never meant for any of those people they were testing on with Isaiah to be Captain America. They were trying to make a thing that worked to then turn probably some white guy into Captain America.
That, or just make mass produce the soldier serum. That was pretty much the game at that point, was the mass produce a soldier serum. If America has a full army of super soldiers, who's going to contest that?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
So
and comics have always hit it at that, like throughout the years. I mean, that's one of the things that I could say about Stan Lee. Stan Lee has always been someone who has tackled race issues in comics, which has been great. And then on top of that, his thoughts as far as like whenever military, like with going to war and stuff like that, he's always tackled those kind of things. And I think he did a good job whenever, he made Captain America. I mean, it was one of those things where Captain America was that comic. For those of you who don't know, just because like I'm so fucking into Stan Lee, whenever he started and wasn't actually the creator of Captain America, obviously it was Jack Kirby. Captain America was just a comic book for us to read in America to get a hint of what we figured were our superheroes were doing over in Germany. That was the point in Captain America. That was the entire point of the comic. It wasn't until later on, whenever Stan Lee had a bigger role, that it was okay. Now it's not just Captain America. There's Steve Rogers. There's a man behind the mask. Let's tell that story. Why did he get here? This doesn't seem like somebody who's supposed to be this hero is just this man-made government machine. Let's talk about that. Let's open that up. And he did a great job with that character, him and Jack Kirby both. I don't want to take any spotlight off of Kirby because that is 100% Kirby's work. But
it's always very sort of important, I guess, to him that he's a product of World War II, which is of all the wars we've been part of, the one that no one's like, nah, that one was a bad idea, or I mean, like we were right to get involved. The people going over there were doing something like
we were saving,
we were
saving
people. So you don't have to be, if it's like Captain America signs up for Vietnam, then it gets complicated. And so that's
what the Watchmen are for.
Guy who signed up to do this thing, to be in the army, but then you don't have to make it like he likes the government too much, because he was going to go do a good ass thing that was good on its face,
Yeah.
Whereas John Walker thinks he's doing a good thing, but like also is going to go fight in Afghanistan or something where things are muddled.
Yeah.
Or dicier.
I think the Shield. So sorry, there's been a thought I've been holding on to for a little while.
No,
There's been 2 or 3, but I think the Shield to Steve Rogers represented do the next right thing. Mm-hmm. And we even hear him say that. I think it's in Civil War. Like, I think he specifically says, do the next right thing. In one of the movies, he says that exact line. To Walker, the Shield represents how many people can we protect if we have this additional, like, if we have better, how many more people can we protect? And that's where we get to Zemo's, like, kind of supremacist ideals, because you're to protect, and what are you protecting? It's more than just people, it's a way of life, and it's this. That's where we get into that. And to Isaiah, the Shield represents the propaganda machine. And I think that's relevant. I want to define it that way, because to Sam, he's seeing all 3 of those pieces, and he's going, the protect is valuable, but it's ultimately driven by fear. And the propaganda machine, and being afraid of the propaganda machine or hating the propaganda machine, is an absolutely right thing. And even Steve felt that, and we see that in Civil War. We also see that in, like, I don't think we would have any of this conflict if we didn't see Civil War Steve, where Civil War Steve told the government, you can fuck right the fuck off, because you guys it's that propaganda machine that Isaiah sees. And we wouldn't have this tension in Sam if we didn't have all 3, this little tripod of motivations right here. And I'm excited to see Sam redefine this, because I think we're going to see Sam bring it back to make the next right choice. Because we consistently see him behave that way and live all parts of his life that way. And we see him making those decisions in this show. And when things go bad and you don't make the right choice because later information, he doesn't sit there and go, wow, and I want to kick a wall because I'm so upset because I didn't make the real right choice. It's we did the best we could with the information we had available. It turned out not being the best. So now we make, from here, how do we make the next right choice?
Right.
And I think that's relevant. I do think there's so much more that we can say about, and by we can say, I mean, we probably shouldn't. We should just acknowledge it because we aren't the best carriers of this message. But I did appreciate that they did directly call out Black exploitation because there is a long history and it is dark as fuck of Black exploitation for medical science, for science in general, for like just general Black exploitation, not only in this country but especially in this country. And so seeing anger at that personified in Isaiah, I think is absolutely appropriate and an appropriate conversation to continue to have about legacies of America and how we talk about that. But I also think it was incredibly valuable to have one of the other extremely beautiful and valuable aspects of Black culture in their community works and how close knit that is and how real that is. Like, Black community is not a nice, like, oh, hey, I'll see you next Sunday at church, and then nothing in between. Like, it is a much more real community than I would argue is often present in the white community. Not always, but often. And so I appreciated being able to hear both the anger at exploitation, which is justified, and the beauty of community in the same show with the same characters interacting with that, because even Isaiah is plugged into that community and that community cares about him, and the kid being like, I will be back there to check on him. Like, it's not like Falcon's gonna fuck him up, but still that kid's like, I give a shit about that guy and you're not gonna mess with him. And I appreciated that both of those characters have to deal with that, or they personified both of those characters dealing with that tension on a daily basis, and then how they continue to interact with the rest of this country in the world.
Yep.
You guys,
You just unpacked a lot, so yeah, no.
yeah, sorry about that.
I mean, and one thing that I guess I would like to add to that I think that I think they could have done a better job with. I think we didn't get enough of government in this show, because I think one of the things that the government set up with the Shield, and I think would have really brought down the actual pressures on Walker, and it's currently what's going on in my fucking favorite anime right now that just fucking came back for its 5th season, super excited about. But in there, you have a world full of world full of people who get mysterious powers, and it's like 85% of the population. All of a sudden, a whole bunch of them decided they were going to start using their powers for their own personal gain, whether it's robbing a bank, getting money, da-da-da-da-da. And it took a whole bunch of individuals to stand up and be like, we're not going to stand by and just let that happen. And then heroes were born. Boom. That's how that happens. Yep. And then there was one guy who wanted to be more than that. I don't want to be just a hero. I want to be a pillar of justice. I want to be a symbol. And in that show right now, he's officially had to, because his power is called One for All, and he had to pass it on to his successor. He was always supposed to pass it on. That's how the power gets stronger and stronger. It goes from person to person learns, and they always choose somebody else. Unfortunately for him, he got into a big battle, and so he's all fucked up without the power. So he's completely out of commission. Like, he physically can't be a hero anymore. He was like down to only being able to do hero work for 3 hours. Then it was like 5 minutes. And then it was the perfect way that I've ever seen a show close out an arc to move on to like the kids are the future now. He got to finish his arc. It didn't push it down onto the kid who's the next successor. It was perfect. Like, it's like one of the like top animes out there because of this shit. It was written so fucking well. But this is where I think that they could have done better in the show, is because in that show, it's like, it's not so much of a stress for Deku to now become the next All Might, although being, just how Sam would be doing, being his own person, or how John Walker should have done, being his own Captain America. But the pressures of, it's not just so much the heroes, because this is where the government comes into play with it. The government sees Captain America for what he was. He was a symbol of justice. He was the reason why villains probably didn't fuck up too much. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody's trying to break their neck to become the next fucking boss, because you might have a vibranium shield coming to the side of your fucking face. Like, there's a worry there. And I feel like we could have gotten more pressure from the government in the show against Walker, and I felt that would have been a better development of his character versus we're just supposed to kind of understand that and go with it. Because obviously he was like, I mean, because we get to see these little snippets here and there of like how he was before all this, and he was just this top soldier, and everything else was like super excited about this, super honoring him. And Battlestar had this great fucking relationship. They served together. They were in each other's lives, in each other's families, all that stuff like that. But all we've ever seen is like this asshole. And obviously he was under a shit ton of pressure, which is completely understandable. But I just don't feel like they delivered that enough from the show. And I don't think they could have done that with anybody else than having like that board that we saw of directors, whatever you want to call them, being more present in the show to be like, you need to start being Captain America. Like what you're doing right now is not what we want you focusing on because we have all this other shit going on. And Steve kept all this at bay. We need you to be Steve, like now.
Oh, okay. And so you
applying that pressure.
Because I go ahead, JoJo. I'm sorry.
I think Walker's putting a bunch of that pressure on himself.
I know, and that's the problem that I have. I feel like the government should be doing that because that would make better character development. I completely agree with you. I think he's putting it all on himself. I would rather see it the other way around. I would rather be him feeling the crushing of the pressure from someone else because in the long run, he's going to see it as this symbol and that he has shoes to fill. There's that pressure already. But the pressure of the world just imploding, that's going to be a lot more of a government thing because we all knew what the symbol was. We all knew who Captain America was. Like, Steve Rogers didn't make Captain America. Captain America was made for Steve Rogers to take over. Steve Rogers then brought Captain America to something completely different. He went over there in a star-spangled fucking suit. They already called him Captain America. He didn't make that. Like, he was put into that and then made it something different. So it's not like it's not already built into the MCU for them to then use that moving forward of like, you need to fill these shoes like now.
I have 2 points. If I can go real fast, JoJo. So first, I think one of the reasons we may not have seen that was something that Battlestar said, I think in the second or third episode, where he brought up the fact that they were chasing Carly and everything that she was doing because he wanted to. That wasn't what the government wanted him to do. That's what John Walker wanted to do. He wanted to go after Carly. And so I think that's relevant, which also brings me to my second point of, it sounds like you wanted an external pressure on this guy to make him crack, or that external pressure to be at least a little bit more personified. I actually prefer the narrative where John Walker is putting this pressure on himself, and his personal character is to shut out, try to control himself and be the best he can be, and just really keep trying to basically turn a bunch of coal into a diamond as hard as he can, and not succeeding at it because he's missing some of the main core values that are reflected in people like Sam, which include a valuable community that he actually uses. The experience of being emotionally sound and vulnerable and utilizing your community to support both of those things is something we see Sam do throughout this whole process. We see him very comfortable with actual we're going to get to this eventually, but when he challenges Bucky with the emotional work that he's doing, he says, you're not atoning, you're avenging. If you want to atone and get over your shit, you have to do the work to get over your shit. Clearly indicating that Sam knows how to get over trauma, and it's not what's convenient. Whatever your first route of like, well, maybe I'll do this, that's not it. You have to turn into the trauma and you have to process through it, and it's not an easy road. I describe it as if you've ever climbed sand, it's like trying to climb sand because you're putting in a ton of effort, and every single step you slide back a little bit, but you just have to keep doing it because when you do, you will eventually reach the top, but it is a epic fuck ton of effort. And so we're seeing Walker crack under pressure because he's trying to be this idealized, I don't need anybody superhero, which neither Sam is nor Steve Rogers ever was. Steve had a support network and Steve used it. And Steve wasn't as skilled at it as Sam is, to be totally honest. Like, Sam is better at utilizing his support network, just straight up is. And I prefer that narrative because that narrative is reinforcing what I wholeheartedly believe, which is we are stronger in community, first. The hyper masculine I can be my loner standing with my cape, billowing in the wind, staring out brutally over a dark city as I think about all the terrible things I've been through that nobody else understands, is utter bullshit. It's a bad, lazy character, and it is also crap and not a good thing to aspire to be. And so I prefer that we're actually holding up Sam as a way more mentally healthy and like better person overall, and I prefer that those pressures are internal rather than external.
Right, and I agree with you. My one point to add on to that is that I'm saying I wanted both to exist.
You really wanted to see the government pressure
because
too.
my issue is like, for instance, the car scene when they were at the car talking to Sam and them. It sounds like Walker and Battlestar just have complete immunity to do what they want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't feel that's realistic with a brand new Captain America out of nowhere. So I agree with you where I feel like the self-pressure aspect of like, this is what I think is right and fucking up.
Mm-hmm.
And then also the government coming down top of him being like, look, you keep doing all this and we're not getting results. You need to be doing this. We need your presence here for this. This is what we need. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel that they could both exist versus one or the other. I think the one is great. I agree with you completely. As your entire explanation on it, completely agree with you. It's great. I just feel like the other one would make it just a little bit better.
I think,
but that's just my own point. Go.
The problem is the government's pressure would have been to get John Walker to stop doing things entirely, and we need John Walker to be out there doing things because John Walker is a recruitment tool. He's a guy they put a costume on to go do interviews and put up posters that say, "Look, here's Captain America. Join the army." Like it's and so
he's a propaganda symbol, like
right,
right, and I completely agree with that. But that's where it adds that extra.
He wants
John
to be
Walker.
Like actual Captain America, so he's putting the pressure on himself to be good. But like the government people who made him that way would probably prefer he don't go off and do crazy shit,
right?
Because then he can murder a man in public or just get killed or something. Or
and that's why I'm saying it would make it better because he would want to be Captain America. And go and do this shit and then fuck up. And then it's like, okay, now it's like a double slap versus one, he's just getting his hand slapped by himself. Now he's getting double slapped because like, you weren't supposed to be doing this. Well, I was trying to help. I was trying to be Captain America and you fucked it up. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just pounds on.
Out there anyway, but yeah.
So you want the 40-second scene where he's on the phone and they're like, okay, since you happen to be in this city, there's like two other, there's some Good Morning America stuff. I know they already did that one, but there's a couple of interviews that we'd like you to do. So we need you to be here at this time in makeup. And then the next interview is here and we're going to have a different makeup artist come and meet you there. And then having him in between those two trying to be Captain America and like coming back with blood all over him and the makeup artist being like, what the fuck?
No, not even close.
No.
What I want is
you
him.
Wanted that.
What I want is situations where, like, for instance, he showed up to help them out on the 18-wheelers, right? That was his whole thing. I want to see him getting his ass reamed out by those same directors going, right now, you don't need to be messing with Falcon and Winter Soldier. They're doing their own thing. You're trying to play Captain America. Steve was different. We need you to do this. But him still wanting to go do that because he wants to be his own Captain America. I'm not talking about the whole let's put you up in a commercial and put you in a fucking blown up neighborhood and say like we're going to make this fucking neighborhood great. Like that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like him constantly going and doing this shit because that's what he feels where he's needed because that's where Captain America would be if Captain America was still around. And the government specifically be like, no. And then the added pressure that's already there in the show because he keeps fucking it up. So
I do think we said the same thing. I gave an example and you just didn't like my example, but I think I was trying to say the same thing.
Yeah, because in your example, Chris, when they say no, don't go do this, what do they want him to do?
Like I said, I'm not talking about the interviews. That's where me and you disconnected, Kelsey. I'm not saying that they want him there for interviews. Like, for instance, like, that's the problem. There's nothing else built in the show for him to do. That's where my issue is. There should be something else built in the show that he should be working on, that he is ignoring to be his own Captain America, not what the government wants him to be. That's the problem. Training new recruits, fighting a fucking war. I don't know. I don't care. Something else that's going on.
Different colleges or high schools.
Fucking bring in the god. No, Kelsey, stop with the fucking interviews. Bring in the fucking Leaper and have him blow up fucking buildings and shit and stop the Leaper. Something else should be built in the fucking show.
He's a recruitment tool. That is his only job. Talking at high schools is what he does. He goes to different schools, he talks at high schools, and he inspires kids to sign up for the military. That is what he does. He makes the military seem less scary and more like, look, everybody could be part of it, and it's totally safe and fine. I'm safe and fine. You could be your best self. Like, that's
short,
his job.
5 minutes of an episode, he can have that. Are you fucking happy? The other fucking whatever screen time he has, I want him doing something fucking else, or supposed to be doing something else that he's not doing. Fuck! I feel like we're all within the realm of what I'm talking about, and I honestly, I feel at this point, JoJo, you 100% get what I'm saying. I believe Kelsey does too. I just believe Kelsey just likes to be a jackass and piss me off, so she keeps just driving home the fucking interview bullshit because she knows that's not what I'm talking about.
So I do have a question.
Yes.
Why do we think Sam took the shield to Isaiah for that conversation? Like, was Sam bringing it to give it to Isaiah, or like that's just a really valuable conversation starter with a guy you don't need a conversation starter with? So why did he take the shield?
I feel, and once again, this goes back to my point that I was putting earlier. I feel Sam saw someone who was completely let down by everyone around him. That he was lured into being able to do something else and could have been something better, and got to see somebody who did something better with those things. Not to his fault at all, obviously. And Sam took the shield with him as not to give it to him. I think it was more of I want to take a chance to talk to him, because he was super pissed off at Bucky for the fact that Steve didn't know about him, and that no one else knew about him. So I thought that, in my opinion, it was Sam's way of trying to make something right and having the shield there to do the whole, like, this is what the shield is about, is my personal thing. And I don't think Sam was ready for what Isaiah had to say, which is what just completely made the entire thing switch. Because as soon as he showed up and saw the shield, he was like, do not bring that out to me. And so I think it was a great way to show and give, as you were talking about, those perfect little pieces that are going to kind of shape Sam into hopefully what's the next best choice. I think that was very important in order for that to happen. So I think that's the entire reason was for Sam. At this point, Sam has seen the shield and the glory of Steve Rogers, the shield and the blood of John Walker, and now we get one more viewpoint of what the shield means from somebody from his actual community, to actually talk about what the shield means to him, someone who he didn't even know existed, and someone who had the same potential power-wise as Captain America to do something that Captain America did, but did not get that opportunity, did not get that chance.
So you've got glory, you've got gore, and you've got betrayal,
History.
exploitation,
Yeah.
and erasure. And I think that's a big point that he brought up, was they kept erasing him.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you agree, or do you have any additional thoughts, JoJo?
Oh, I think Sam may have been considering going there to drop it, to give it to Isaiah.
Really?
As, like, thinking it was rightfully his in some like on some.
I could see that.
You should have had this
also,
opportunity.
Sam was like at a crossroads where he was mad.
Yeah.
He seemed upset after the deal with John Walker and stuff, and leaving his broken wings, and like he was
kind of walking away from the hero thing.
He was not sure what he was going to do, I think, and so he was going to offer that to Isaiah, I think, because he sort of, there's a logic to the idea that he deserves it in some way, because he's the other surviving super soldier or something. But I think through that conversation with Isaiah, he decided to take it as a responsibility that
there was a
he
reason
needed
Steve
to be
gave
the
it
one
to
to take it and hold it up to fix, because John Walker fucked it up so bad, and the government would do it again or something, you know.
Right.
So he decided to.
Okay.
I think in that conversation, when he decided he wanted it for himself, or would take it for himself.
And then that also leads to something that I think is very interesting, which is the dynamic where it seems that Sam is constantly questioning the fact that Steve gave him the shield, to where Bucky sees the reason why he was given the shield. And I think that this is also helping all that kind of tie up together, where Sam is like, Steve gave this to me for a reason, you know, type situation. So
how do you tie that to...
That was this episode. Oh, right. it was really smart. And where then also in this episode, when they were talking about it, Bucky like apologized to Sam because he and Steve did not realize the weight they were putting on Sam by giving him the shield, like as a black man. They didn't realize what that could mean.
Yeah. Right. And I don't think, but that
partially because these two guys were like from the 40s and frozen for a long time.
Yeah. But once again, that also leads back to what I was talking about, where I think that they have the symbolization of Steve Rogers, where it's like that wasn't a thought that crossed his mind. He wasn't looking at Sam as the black guy that's going to be Captain America. It was, in my opinion, he's the next best suited to hold this shield. That was all there was. It didn't matter his color. It was, you are the next best suited to hold the shield. For Steve Rogers. Government, all that other shit.
Well-meaning
that's
and
completely
naive
different.
Is the thing.
Exactly. 100%. Which is why I thought he brought the shield there in the first place to explain. Because he even said, like, Steve Rogers wouldn't have been okay with that. 100%. Whenever he was talking to Bucky about Isaiah, he's like, he would not have been okay with that. And he's right. Yeah, of course not.
Well, to come back to something that you mentioned, Chris, where you said that that he challenged that Bucky could see clearly why Sam was given, and the whole tension of this entire season is, will Sam pick it up? And I think we all know kind of how that's going to go at the end. But like, will Sam do this? Because Sam is, and Sam even said it in this episode, which I find very challenging, was it doesn't matter what Steve thought.
Yeah.
It doesn't. He's not here anymore, and what we make is what we make for ourselves, which I think is funny because Steve thinks Sam needs to carry the shield, and this is the episode where Sam's deciding, I'm going to carry the shield. Steve also sees Bucky as Bucky and not as the Winter Soldier, and of all of the media that we have had to this point, other than the very beginning of Captain America, we got to see the most Bucky being Bucky and not the Winter Soldier in this episode.
Oh, yeah. Even hitting on Sarah. Yeah,
we saw
all
him
of
hitting
that.
on Sarah. We saw him being part of a community. And we saw him like move a big thing and be like, look at me, I'm great. Yeah. But there was a Bucky side of that. And so we got to experience. And like him screwing with Sam the whole time, where he's just like, "Why didn't you use the arm for that?" I didn't even think about it. The next time, just like Sam's been working on this
naturally right-handed. Yeah, I like that
really
part.
Funny joke.
Yeah, that was really funny.
Thing to use his robot arm
because it's his left arm. Yeah, it's actually funny. My girlfriend said the exact same thing. It's like whenever they were working on some wood or something, she was like, "This is the most Bucky we've seen Bucky since like the beginning," and I was like, "Yeah, it is. It's kind of nice, isn't it?" So. Yeah.
So the exact episode where they say it doesn't matter what Sam sees, or it's what Steve Rogers saw, is the same time that we see both of these guys becoming exactly who Steve Rogers saw them to be. But they're choosing to be those people, and I just find that nice and neat.
Yeah.
Growth.
I mean, honestly, I mean, there had to be a reason for them to do it, and Steve leaving the shield is the perfect reason for them to do it. So, honestly, but since we're getting close to running out of time here, I want to quick fire off a couple things that I want to make sure that we did quick go over, talk about. We saw that Walker got discharged. Boom, get the fuck out of here. He's off doing his own shit now. Obviously,
building his own shield with his old medals.
Yeah.
Does he do that in the comics?
I don't know if he does that in the comics. Whenever he just becomes U.S. agent,
they probably just made more shields in the comics. Like, I don't know that there's just like one that had to get passed around. They just had other vibranium.
So I think this is important to bring this up now. Then, since we're going to go into the whole shield aspect, Val. For those of you who don't know Val.
Who is Val?
She at one point was a love interest in Nick Fury. That happened, which is where she kind of gets a little bit more entwined with the government. She's always been an espionage agent, but am I correct? Val is who ends up becoming Madam Hydra, right?
To my understanding, that is a very short-lived thing.
Right.
That's something they could do with her, but that's not.
That's what I was thinking, because like there's really not a lot of information on her run as Madam Hydra.
Also, I guess she's. I don't know if that's when she's Madam Hydra or not. She's the first person that Nick Fury in the comics realizes is a secret Skrull.
Yep. That's right.
Like she's the thing that sets off like the revelation of Secret Invasion or whatever.
Yep, the Secret Invasion.
She ends up being a Skrull. They probably won't do that this time because
that's already been played out. Well, wait. WandaVision. The end of WandaVision.
Oh, no, there totally
scrolls.
are Secret Scroll. I'm just saying, like, she won't be because we haven't gotten a chance for Nick Fury and her to even interact in the universe. It would be weird to bring her in and then kill her off because the reason he finds out that she's a Skrull is because she fucking dies or something, and it's a Skrull corpse.
Hear me out.
In the comics.
What if all these shows, there's always some Skrull shit in each show, and all these shows are leading up to the secret invasion?
Maybe. So also,
that would be insane, dude. Like a full-on secret invasion. That would be nuts.
The Order stuff came out and aired, got messed up, by COVID, and I think Winter Soldier was supposed to come first for WandaVision, so I don't know if that would impact the Skrulliness or not.
We'll have to wait and see. I mean, if she's a Skrull at the end of this fucking show, we'll know.
Was supposed to and maybe still will show up in Black Widow, which was supposed to come out before.
Yeah. Which would make sense. Her character totally fits for that. So
you were theoretically supposed to know who she was as a character already.
Right.
But there had been rumors, I guess, that there was going to be a big cameo, a surprise actress who hadn't been in anything before, got hyped up before this episode, and boy, was not who I would ever guess. But I laughed so fucking hard, I had to rewind because, I mean, she's Julie Louis-Dreyfus is the fucking best. Like, that's an amazing actress to get for anything, and so for them, I love it.
I feel like she has enough history to be considered like an actual character for Marvel, but I feel like she doesn't have enough history for them to be able to do what they want with her and it really not be like too off-putting to comic book fans, because she really doesn't have that long of a history. I mean, like, at all. But
so with recruiting Walker, there's a sense that maybe they're turning things a little bit, and like she could be the one who sets up a Thunderbolts Dark Avengers kind of thing, right? Like she's So
I'm on the same page with you on that one, but I had a split. I was like, because that was my first set. I was like, oh my god, is this gonna be Thunderbolts? And then I immediately, because me and you have been fucking talking about Thunderbolt Ross since like the beginning of this fucking show. Red Hulk, for those of you who don't know him by that. But anyways,
so Thunderbolt's supposed to be in the Black Widow movie.
Exactly.
So,
I could also see a Hydra play here. The revival of Hydra, Zemo possibly breaking away, and a revival of Hydra with her being Madam Hydra and that being their super soldier. I could see it. I'm just saying, not going to take that one off the table. One or the other, I feel, is going to happen with her. Either they're going to do a Thunderbolts route, which I could see them doing a Thunderbolts TV show, or we're about to get the rebuild of Hydra. One or the other.
Either way, she'll be around again for sure. Like,
for sure, absolutely. 100%.
You would not bring her in for just one episode.
No, and there's just like, I think she's gonna weave through things quite a bit ultimately, and that's great.
So
Can
also,
we talk
go
about
ahead.
Bucky's
Yes.
Zemo scene?
That's what I was going right next to.
Good.
So, Zemo
Educate me.
being taken off by Wakanda. So they're going to that's the part that stuck out to me the most. They said they're going to escort him to the raft.
Mm-hmm.
The fuck is the raft?
So the raft, it's a floating prison. If I'm not mistaken, that's the prison that Sam and all them were locked up in the movie, right?
I think so, probably.
They were taken to the raft, right? Okay, because Marvel has like fucking 4 super maximum security prisons.
Right. And
like,
so I think in the movies they put him in there. I think
they did go to the raft.
Abomination is maybe there or something
maybe
too.
There, okay.
Or so, but like very few characters have been, because everyone dies. All the villains die.
So in the comics, and it seems like it's been this way in the movies, there has never been cooperation with the U.S. and Wakanda ever.
Yeah.
Even when T'Chaka was still running it, like he was showing up for these embassy meetings, but like there's never been like full on cooperation. And it even was like that in the comics for a long time. There was times when America invaded Wakanda and shit like that, like all kinds of shit. So like there's never really been like a back and forth relationship in the movies for sure. And the comics not until way later. So it's very weird to me that the Wakanda people are going to take Zemo to the raft. I do not believe that is where Zemo is going. 100% do not believe he's going to the raft at all. at all.
T'Challa made a conscious effort to open up Wakanda to the world at the end of that movie, the end of Black Panther. So, and Zemo is wanted internationally. He technically murdered a guy in Sokovia or wherever they were having that UN meeting where T'Chaka was.
Yeah, he murdered
T'Chaka. Yeah.
Right, but he murdered T'Chaka not in Wakanda,
and they're not going to let that
everyone's
go.
Got jurisdiction on this guy. And I want to say the Raft is like a shield prison usually. I don't even know if shield exists anymore in this universe because everything got all jumbled up.
I'm under the impression it still does, but I could be wrong.
So
yeah.
If you know, put it in the comments.
The reason why I feel that you're wrong, and this could just be due to the show, is I don't feel that there's enough relationship between Bucky and this random fucking Wakanda warrior for them to have this like unspoken bond of him like, okay, I'm not going to kill Zemo, I'm going to let you have him. Okay, we'll take him to the Raft. I feel like it was more of like, you know what, I'm going to do right and let you guys have Zemo. And they were like, okay, we'll take him to the Raft. You know, like, yeah, no, he's going to Wakanda. They're taking his ass to Wakanda.
What's the benefit of her lying to him, though? What does she gain?
Well, okay.
They're not going to come to Wakanda for Zemo. That's the benefit. They're going to take Zemo to Wakanda. He's going to break out and have some Wakanda fucking technology and fucking Hell Hydra. All right?
I hate the idea that you just posed, which is that the people that are following Zemo are so stupid that when he gets on a Wakanda jet and is taken off by Wakandans to go to the Raft, they're just like, oh, don't know where he went then. I guess we'll just go walking around and see if we can see him in a public place, rather than being like, maybe they took him to Wakanda. Like,
no, I know that they would say that they took him to Wakanda. I'm just saying they're not going to go to Wakanda to go after him. They're not going to start a war over Zemo. It's different if, like, they captured Captain America, but if the government's like, no, Zemo needs to pay for his crimes. Oh, he's in Wakanda. Well, he's probably not going to live very long, so fucking justice served. Like, they're not going to go to Wakanda and start a war for fucking Zemo. No one cares. It's not going to happen.
I think there's supposed to be way more of an implied relationship between Bucky and Ayo, the Wakandan woman. Like, they just show you that one scene of him realizing he's free of the mind stuff, but, like, there must have been months and months of them training to get to that point. Stuff like, he is theoretically pretty close with this woman.
And that's where my problem comes into the show's writing. That's where my problem is, JoJo. That's what I'm talking about. The show's writing.
You're just asking for way... They are telling you this subtly because they have to work with what was in the movies and can't, like, retroactively add...
Yeah.
I feel the only reason Wakanda showed up...
Infinity War or whatever, they don't want to spend 10 minutes on some Bucky and this random Wakandan scene because they have too much to deal with.
I feel the only reason Wakanda showed up is to set up a White Wolf show at some fucking point. That, in my opinion, is the only reason Wakanda was in this show. Other than that, they really have not served a purpose. And it's hard for me to believe they're going to spend the time and effort and energy to track down Zemo and do all this shit stealth-wise and everything else just to be like, you know what? You're right. We're here. Don't worry. We'll escort him to your prison where we have no jurisdiction and we have no say-so of what happens to him. Fuck that. No, absolutely.
Let him be in, like,
did we not watch Black Panther 1? Okay. They gave two shits about the U.S. laws or anything. They were like, we're here. We're doing shit our way. There is no way. They're like, you know what? Yeah, we'll just escort him there for you. Don't worry about it, buddy. You can get me back. Like, no. Fuck no. Absolutely not. Zemo is on a one-way trip to Wakanda right now. 100%.
Going to the Raft because that's where they recruit him to be a Thunderbolt or whatever. Like, he has to be... Because that's the thing he's doing. Like, that's where this has to go. And Wakanda just muddles things.
Well, then that was terrible writing.
So, I have two major questions. First, the scene where Bucky holds up the gun to Zemo's head and shoots at him, but was like, I clearly knew the whole time I wasn't actually going to shoot you and all that jazz. I feel like what was being said there was not as clear as I wanted it to be, because what I took away from that, after some thinking about it and trying to kind of figure it out, and maybe I'm just an idiot, but was this whole, I'm not the Winter Soldier.
Same
And
page. Same page.
That's what it
Yep,
was. Okay.
same page.
I think so.
I completely agree with you. I do not think that was fleshed out anywhere near as good as it could have been. I think that they did a great job at Zemo trying to piss him off and prove that the Winter Soldier and what he built was still in there. Mm-hmm. And I think the way for Bucky to show him that it wasn't was done very terribly. But done very terribly. I definitely think that could have been done better. So I completely agree with you on that one. 100%.
So, okay. So, good. I'm not just an absolute moron, or I am, but at least I've got company. Good.
Yeah,
so,
then we're all stupid. That's okay.
Yeah, great. Fabulous. Welcome to Dead Funny, everybody. So, why did the Wakandans tell Bucky to stay out of Wakanda for the time being? Because what I took from that is we're having an issue with the fact that our in reality, like, our king is dead, but we're in the process of dealing with that in a narrative inside the MCU because the Chadwick Boseman died, but they don't want to recast T'Challa. And so I thought they were hinting at where there's political instability, and if you show up, there will be a desire to put you on the throne, and we don't want that.
Oh,
so
no.
educate me.
No,
Good.
I think it's just some people in that country are mad at Bucky for getting Zemo out of prison. That's all. It's just like AO is like, all right, hey, you and me are, whatever, we know each other.
We're good, but other people aren't good.
Other people are mad. I think that's it, because they don't have. Chadwick Boseman died too late for that to even be factored into dialogue on this show. Like, this show was done filming.
That's probably
this show was done filming pre-COVID, right? Way pre-COVID.
They did some reshoots during COVID, actually. So I don't know. So there is some unsubstantiated rumors or whatever that there was maybe some amount of plot where the Flag Smashers had a plan to unleash some kind of virus originally that they had to then, which is why maybe some stuff with the Flag Smashers is a little weird. Why they cast a real actress to be their woman who just kind of is a corpse, was a somewhat respected actress, the one they went to a funeral for or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so you maybe think that she had more scenes originally that are no longer in the show.
Mama Flag Smasher.
Yeah. That's a digression. The point is,
I wondered. Go ahead, because when I was watching this scene where all of the countries, the GNC is sitting together to chat, all of that was over 6 feet apart, and I'm like, is this a COVID scene? Basically, it felt like it was.
Yeah,
because everybody was seated 6 feet apart, and then there were multiple chairs that were empty and stuff like that.
There's a bunch of stuff where it's like, we're stealing supplies, and you could maybe think that they dubbed over that or changed where they were stealing medicine initially or something like that. Then they had to change.
Interesting.
Point is,
that's a good rewrite if they
Bucky. That's all.
My opinion is that they told him that he needs to stay out of Wakanda, so that way they don't notice that they didn't take him to the raft, that they took his ass back to Wakanda.
Just take him to the raft.
Shit.
It's the most secure prison on Earth, theoretically, so that's where people go.
I don't know, dude. You think so? The raft?
It's supposed to be.
I feel like the negative zone would be a little bit more.
Well, they don't have a negative zone yet.
Well, not in the MCU, but I feel like...
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Think in the context of the MCU.
Gotcha. I thought you were talking about Marvel in general. I was about to say, I feel like the negative zone kind of beats out the raft. I mean, but okay, I feel you. MCU. Okay, that's fair. Negative zone would be way too much for them to do, considering the fact that they can't even get a goddamn Fantastic Four movie to work, much less Reed Richards building this crazy fucking prison. So,
I mean, that was comic Civil War, right? Where they kept all the superheroes who refused to sign up in some kind of negative zone prison.
Well, they kept not only the superheroes that refused to sign up, but they also kept all the supervillains that they caught until the Tinker could make the creations to stick basically inside their bodies that forced them to be basically under the government's control to be the new superheroes. And there the superheroes had to teach the supervillains how to be superheroes, and they were all getting assigned to different teams, which is why Captain America was like, you guys are fucking crazy. No. I am not on board with this. Other than that, just quick run over because I said that I would. Once again, those of you who haven't seen it, DFU, Falcon, go watch it. But yes, Paul, please. You saw the ship, Paul, and I forgot her fucking name again. It was on the ship. What did it start with? It started with a D, right? Oh my God. What was Falcon's mom's name? It was on the ship. It was on the boat.
Deborah?
No,
Deanna?
I don't remember. Shit. And I don't want to bring up my Google because it might
I
be
can
in front of
Google
this.
it.
Cool.
Yeah,
Kelsey's
yeah.
got it. I did a whole DFU on this, and I actually forgot her name mid DFU as well. Kelsey.
I'm working on it. Nope, it's bringing
Rescue-
up the freaking Atlanta Falcons. It's causing a problem.
Hey.
No, it's not helpful.
It is for me. It's my favorite football team. Love 'em.
I'm aware.
Anyways.
That's why I said it.
Anyways, so while she's looking for that, Falcon's father, Paul Wilson, was a huge member of the community. He was a pastor and did a lot of work for the community, which is
Don't
what
give away the whole DFU.
I'm not
Okay.
giving away the whole DFU, which
Okay.
kind of brings
Darlene.
that scene. Darlene. There you go. Boom. Darlene. Paul and Darlene Wilson, which brings that whole scene a little bit more to light. Now, as far as like what happened to Paul and everything else, as Kelsey said, there's a DFU episode on that. Go check it out. We lay out the entire story. You can figure out wow that happened. But I just want to jump into that right quick. Other than that, the only other thing I had on here was Walker lying to Battlestar's parents, but you already brought that up and we talked about that, about him creating his own narrative. And I do think that is a very interesting way to look at that, is him creating his own narrative and doing what he's doing to, you know, make him seem like the hero. At first, I was kind of looking at it as the aspect of like, maybe he's just trying to be like, you know, I'm bringing you closure that don't worry, your son got killed, but I got the guy, fuck that guy. But I completely agree with you. It is 100% more of he can't live with the fact that he's a supervillain basically at this point.
He's a murderer.
Yeah.
He just straight up got angry and murdered a guy.
Yep.
And that's not his narrative of who he is, and so he's constructing a narrative he can live with.
100% agree. 100% agree.
It's the opposite of doing the work. Just so you know, that's the opposite.
There you go. Exactly. But so now we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here because we are definitely way over time. But we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. If you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure you like and subscribe. Also turn on the notification so that way you get notified next time we upload another video. Hit us in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts on the episode, where you're at on the show as far as you like it, you love it, you hate it. Where you at on that too? We would love to get down there and talk with you in the comments. Also, if you have any other things that you think we missed, throw them down there as well. We can always bring them up in the next episode. And if you just have questions in general that you think that, you know, you want answers to, or something that Kelsey, myself, or JoJo said that you would like us to further elaborate on, we can also do that as well. But make sure you hit the Twitter and the Twitches. They're down there for more direct form communication. Watch people play some video games. Or we'll just catch you guys next time. Have a great rest of your week.